We'll now have the next question from Ingrid Brown, and it goes to Team PNP.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness is pushing for a public-private partnership, which would, among other things, result in the divestment of a number of loss-making entities to the private sector. If your party should form the next government, is this a policy that you would undertake?
Well, the first thing that we have to acknowledge, Ingrid, is that we are in an IMF agreement that we don't seem to know anything about. And the government has actually failed its own targets. We're not quite sure if they've met the 9% of GDP in terms of its public sector wages, and we're not sure where we're actually going from there. The PNP administration have actually passed 12 consecutive tests with the IMF and told them bye, and we've actually had growth during those periods. The thing about going forward with any administration in terms of doing public sector and private sector partnerships, absolutely, you're going to have to do it because we don't have enough money in the budget to do anything further than what is actually there. The other thing that you need to recognize moving forward is that we have to have economic growth. There's no way we can do it without it. We have to find those winners that we can compete in globally, find those industries that bring in foreign exchange, and give the private sector the opportunity to invest in those industries so that we can actually have growth in this economy. And the PNP has already put that plan in place.
Thank you, Ms. Hanna. We have a rebuttal now from Team JLP.
Lisa failed to enunciate that the People's National Party presided over the collapse of the financial and productive sectors of Jamaica under a regime called FinSAC. Today, we have reaped the benefits of that, and we are working assiduously through our reform programs to set Jamaica back on the right track.
The issue of public-private partnership is critical, and I think it speaks to one of the ideological differences between the JLP and the PNP. We see government as an enabler, and they see government as a major participant. Government alone cannot do it. We have to form partnerships for the people, critical partnerships.
Thank you, Mrs. Malahoo Forte. Garfield Burford has the next question. It goes to Team JLP.
In 2007, you promised jobs, jobs, jobs. Over the past 4 years, you've actually lost jobs in the economy. Why should Jamaicans, especially young people, have any faith that you would do it this time around if you're put in office for a second time?
Because, Garfield, we have created the enabling conditions for jobs to be created. Stable inflation rate, a stable dollar, low interest rates, reduction in taxes in critical areas that will free up real estate, that people can use that as collateral to access the financial markets and finance their projects. We have also engaged in a very aggressive program of targeting foreign direct investments, such as the appointment of our ICT ambassador who has generated already a deal that will yield 1,000 jobs in the new year.
You know,
thank you, Mr. Newby. We will now have a rebuttal from Team PNP.
You know that the JLP always has this fallacy about reducing interest rates. In its first year of office, it actually doubled interest rates. The reason why interest rates are low, the lowest in 40 years, is because of the global recession, and interest rates actually came down. And because they were going to default on their debt in terms of interest on debt, that they went to the banks and said, hey, we need to reduce our interest rates. But more importantly, and I want to speak to Warren on this issue, what would have happened just in the similar sense of the United States if it was that depositors and savers, pensioners went to the bank? The reason why FinSAC happened was because the People's National Party said to itself, we're not going to allow pensioners, savers and depositors to lose their money.
Thank you, Ms. Hanna. Nadima Cloud has the next question, and it goes to Team PNP.
2 days ago, students at St. Jago High School in Riverdale, St. Catherine were terrorized. Police and criminals fired at each other just outside their school compound. What more should be done to ensure the safety of students at school? And give us 2 specific programs which your government will implement to do so.
Well, firstly, it was with regret that we saw, all of us as Jamaicans, saw the terror that those students must have felt and underwent during their exams at St. Jago High School. It's part and parcel of what we referred to earlier when we spoke about the sustained effort through mutual agreements and functional cooperation to break the back permanently of narco-terrorism and transnational crime. What we are seeing is the embers of the fight that was started by the insistence of Dr. Peter Phillip when he was National Security Minister and the People's National Party administration to go against these criminal networks. In terms of returning to office, the People's National Party, as we've emphasized, will also spend resources more suitably and apply them where they're needed. If communities around St. Jago High School had enterprises, then you would not have had so many available hands for those
Thank
weapons.
you, Mr. Pryce. A rebuttal now from Team JLP.
Mr. Pryce has failed to enunciate that the attack was carried out by a criminal affiliate of the People's National Party called the Klansman Gang. We have been saying that we must commence on a process of de-garrisonization. The offer by the Prime Minister to the opposition leader to walk these communities was rejected, and we must condemn them and say they must now demonstrate in no uncertain terms that they are against criminal gangs and against these affiliates who would do a daring daylight attack as they did against the students at St. Jago High.
Thank you, Mr. Newby. We will now take the final break. We invite you to stay tuned.
National political debates brought to you by Jamaica Debates Commission in association with Jamaica Public Service Company Limited, changing lives with their mission, and the DNG Foundation, here for Jamaicans, here for Jamaica.
Welcome back to the first in a series of 3 political debates being facilitated by the Jamaica Debates Commission. If you're just joining us, welcome as well. We invite Ingrid Brown of the Jamaica Observer to start this final segment with a question for Team JLP.
The dismantling of garrisons has been an issue preached from many a political platform by different administrations, with nothing done to really make this a reality. Why should Jamaicans believe that there will ever be an end to garrisons?
Well, the dismantling of garrisons is critical to the development of the nation and in a whole, generally. The JLP administration has embarked on the Community Renewal Program, which focuses on young Jamaicans and primarily female heads of households and other vulnerable groups. The focus area being youth development, economic empowerment through microlending and business opportunities, police community relations, sanitation, housing. Now, the 5 most crime-affected parishes are the targets to start this program: Kingston and St. Andrew, St. Catherine, Clarendon and St. James. October of this year has seen the commencement of this program. The Community Renewal Program is based in creating opportunities for individuals who would normally be left aside and normally who are unattached to some sort of progression in their livelihood. And so there are opportunities for economic growth, there are opportunities for social development, and there are opportunities for healthcare that will transcend mental, social, physical, and social
rebuttal now
factors.
from Team PNP.
The issue of dismantling garrisons is not just on a constituency basis in terms of a political constituency. Look, for example, at the recent illustration by Senator Newby in trying to create a garrison among youth groups when he prevented the Most Honorable Portia Simpson Miller from responding to a request by young people to address them at their conference. He made reference earlier to affiliates of the PNP. The People's National Party has 3 affiliates: the Youth Organization, the Women's Movement, and the National Workers' Union. It is also sad that he omitted to confirm that those areas where that activity took place are represented by 2 female members of Parliament on the JLP side, Sharon Hay Webster and the Honourable Olivia Babsy-Grange.
Garfield Burford has the next question, and it goes to Team PNP.
The IMF has warned about pressures to increase wages and subsidies, and these, it says, threaten measures to bring down high debt in countries of the region, Latin America and the Caribbean. How would a future PNP government reduce the central government wages to GDP ratio to 9% within the medium term without significant job cuts in the public sector?
Well, the truth is we don't even know what the status is in terms of the agreement that the Jamaica Labour Party has with the IMF. In terms of what we would do, we've done it before and we'll do it again. The IMF standby agreement has to be renegotiated. In terms of moving forward and bringing the wage bill down, we'll have to find cost-effective ways. We'll have to find innovative ways to reallocate resources so that we manage any kind of public sector, private sector fallout. But to answer your question directly, we are going to go in, see what the problem is, because we don't know, and the JLP has not told us.
The addition to that is going back to basics. If you don't grow the economy, there are two ways to deal with the wage as a proportion of GDP. You can either cut jobs, which they seem that their only option will be, or you can grow the economy. It wouldn't be the first time the People's National Party assumed government when the economy was in crisis. In 1989, there was a debt-to-GDP ratio of 269%.
Thank you, Mr.
We brought
Pryce.
it down to 107%.
From Team JLP.